The Galactic Empire's arrival. The galaxy was vast, filled with countless worlds and civilizations. The Galactic Empire, a dominant force in the universe, had expanded for centuries without opposition. Their fleets were massive, their technology unmatched, and their hunger for conquest insatiable. For them, Earth was just another insignificant target, a small blue planet in a remote corner of the galaxy. On board the Imperial flagship, the Eternal Dominance, Grand Admiral Crix stood before the towering viewscreen. The holographic image of Earth rotated slowly, its blue oceans and green lands sparkling like a gem. Primitive, Crix sneered, his voice echoing through the command deck. They still burn fossil fuels. Their satellites are ancient scrap metal. This planet will fall without a fight. The officers around him nodded in agreement, their uniforms sharp, and their expressions cold. The Empire had crushed far more advanced civilizations with ease. Earth would be no different. The Galactic Empire's advanced scanners had detected no major energy signatures or planetary defenses. To them, Earth was vulnerable, ripe for taking. Crix turned to his second-in-command, Commander Talek. Prepare the fleet. Send a message to their leaders. Let's see if they're smart enough to surrender. On Earth, chaos erupted. Every screen, from televisions to smartphones, displayed the same chilling message. A holographic figure of Grand Admiral Crix appeared, his alien features sharp and intimidating. His piercing yellow eyes seemed to look into the souls of every human watching. "People of Earth," he began, his voice cold and commanding. "You stand before the might of the Galactic Empire. Your planet is now under our control. Surrender immediately, or face total annihilation. You have one Earth day to comply." Governments across the world scrambled to respond. In the United Nations, world leaders gathered in an emergency session. Fear was etched on every face as they debated what to do. Surrender seemed inevitable. How could Earth, with its outdated weapons and divided nations, stand against a galactic force? But not everyone was afraid. In a secret military base buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, a group of the world's brightest minds sat around a table. Among them was General Marcus Steele, a veteran known for his calm demeanor and sharp instincts. "We've prepared for this day," General Steele said, his voice steady. "For decades, we've been watching the stars. We knew this might happen." The others looked at him in surprise. "What are you saying?" asked Dr. Elena Park, a leading physicist. "Do you think we have a chance?" General Steele leaned forward, his eyes sharp. "Not just a chance. We've been preparing for this exact scenario. The Galactic Empire thinks we're weak. They think we're unprepared. Let's show them they're wrong." Meanwhile, aboard the Eternal Dominance, Grand Admiral Crix was growing impatient. Earth's leaders had not responded to his ultimatum. To him, it was a sign of weakness. He turned to Commander Talek. "Send a task force. Let's make an example of them. Bring me their leaders." "Yes, Admiral," Talek replied, saluting. Within moments, a small fleet of sleek, black Imperial warships descended toward Earth. They entered the planet's atmosphere with precision, their engines roaring like thunder. The task force targeted major cities, intending to capture Earth's leaders and crush any resistance. But something unexpected happened. As the Imperial ships approached their targets, their systems began to fail. Communications went silent. Engines sputtered and died. One by one, the ships crashed, vanishing into the forests and mountains below. No distress signals were sent. No survivors reported back. On board the Eternal Dominance, the command deck was silent as the crew watched the disaster unfold. Admiral Crix's fists clenched in anger. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Why have we lost contact with the task force?" "Unknown, Admiral," a technician stammered. "It's as if something is interfering with their systems." Crix's yellow eyes narrowed. This wasn't supposed to happen. Earth was supposed to be easy prey. But now, There was no sign of the task force he had sent. It was as if the planet itself had swallowed them whole. Back on Earth, a chilling message was transmitted back to the Eternal Dominance. It came from a hidden facility somewhere on the planet, its location untraceable. The voice was calm but firm, with an undercurrent of menace. To the Galactic Empire, the message began. We strongly advise you to leave. The crew of the flagship froze. The message wasn't one of fear or desperation. It was a warning that carried a weight Crix couldn't ignore. For the first time in years, the Grand Admiral felt a twinge of unease. "Admiral," Commander Talek said hesitantly, "what are your orders?" Crix stared at the view screen, his mind racing. He couldn't back down. The Empire didn't retreat, and yet something about this situation felt wrong. He pushed the thought aside. "Prepare the main fleet," he ordered. "We'll teach these primitives the price of defiance." As the flagship powered up its weapons and the fleet readied for battle, Earth waited silently, its true strength hidden beneath layers of secrecy. The Galactic Empire had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated humanity. The first move had been made, and the game had begun. But this time, it wasn't the Empire holding all the cards. Underestimating humanity. The Galactic Empire was not used to failure. Grand Admiral Crix paced the command deck of the Eternal Dominance, his boots clicking sharply against the polished floor. The holographic display of Earth loomed above, its serene beauty mocking his frustration. The silence from the task force gnawed at him. How could a backwater planet like Earth resist even a fraction of the Empire's power? Commander Talek, his expression a mix of fear and confusion, hesitated before speaking. "Admiral, shall we send a reconnaissance team to recover the lost ships?" "No," Crix snapped, his tone sharp. "We will not waste resources chasing ghosts. This is a planet of primitives. Whatever happened was a fluke. They cannot possibly have the means to resist us." The crew nodded in agreement, but unease lingered in the air. The Empire's arrogance had blinded them to the possibility of a threat. They didn't know that Earth was far from ordinary. On Earth, hidden beneath a sprawling desert, Project Sentinel was in full operation. The secret facility buzzed with activity. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel worked in unison, their faces a mixture of determination and controlled panic. The leader of the project, Dr. Elena Park, stood at the center of the control room, her sharp eyes scanning the data on a massive screen. "They took the bait," she said, her voice calm but firm. "The task force was neutralized without revealing our primary defenses." General Marcus Steele, standing beside her, crossed his arms. "The Empire will retaliate. They won't accept defeat easily. Are we ready for a full-scale invasion?" Dr. Park hesitated, then nodded. "Our systems are prepared, but we need to keep them guessing. If they discover the extent of our capabilities too soon, they'll bring overwhelming force. We have to play this carefully." General Steele smirked. "Good. Let's keep them in the dark." The room fell silent as a message from the Galactic Empire played on a secondary monitor. Admiral Crix's holographic figure appeared once more, his expression colder than before. "People of Earth," he began, his voice dripping with contempt. "You may have delayed us, but you have not stopped us. Your defiance will be punished. Surrender now, or face total destruction." Without hesitation, General Steele responded with a transmission of his own. His face was shadowed, his voice steady and calculated. "Admiral Crix, we warned you. This is your last chance to leave. If you choose to stay, you'll regret it." The message was sent. The room erupted into quiet murmurs. Dr. Park turned to Steele, her brow furrowed. "Do you think that will work?" "No," Steele said simply, a grim smile playing on his lips. "But it'll make them think twice." Meanwhile, aboard the Eternal Dominance, the crew analyzed Earth's response. The confidence in Steele's voice unsettled them. Commander Talek approached Crix cautiously. "Admiral," he said, lowering his voice, "what if we're underestimating them? Their technology may be more advanced than our scans suggest." Crix glared at him, his patience wearing thin. "Nonsense. This is a planet that still uses combustion engines and relies on physical currency. Their confidence is bravado, nothing more." But doubts were beginning to creep into the minds of the crew. The loss of the task force, the cryptic warnings, and the strange interference with their systems hinted at something deeper. Still, the Admiral's orders were clear: press forward. The Empire dispatched a second wave of ships, this time equipped with advanced scanning equipment and shields designed to resist electronic interference. Their mission was simple: pinpoint Earth's defenses and crush them. As the new fleet descended into Earth's atmosphere, they encountered something unexpected. A dense, artificial fog enveloped their ships, blocking sensors and obscuring visibility. Communications flickered and died. Panic spread among the pilots as their instruments failed. From the fog came precise, calculated attacks. Invisible weapons struck with pinpoint accuracy, disabling engines and tearing through hulls. The fleet never even saw their enemy. Ships exploded in fiery bursts, scattering debris across the sky. Survivors were few, and those who managed to escape told tales of an enemy that moved like shadows, striking from nowhere. On the Eternal Dominance, chaos erupted as reports of the disaster poured in. The command deck was a storm of alarms and frantic voices. Admiral Crix slammed his fist onto the control panel, his face twisted with rage. "Impossible," he roared. "How are they doing this? They're supposed to be primitives." "Admiral," Talek said urgently, "their defenses are unlike anything we've seen. It's as if they anticipated our every move." Crix's anger gave way to unease. For the first time, he began to wonder if he had underestimated Earth. The warnings, the precision of the attacks, the complete silence of their enemies, it all pointed to a level of preparation he hadn't expected. "Pull back the remaining ships," Crix ordered. "We need more information before we proceed." The fleet retreated, leaving Earth's skies eerily quiet once more. On board the flagship, Crix stared at the holographic display of the planet, his mind racing. "Mark my words," he said through gritted teeth. "We will find their weakness, and when we do, this planet will burn." But even as he spoke, deep in the shadows of Earth's hidden facilities, humanity prepared for the next move. They had spent decades studying the stars, learning the patterns of potential invaders. Now, they were ready to prove that the Galactic Empire had made a grave mistake. The game was just beginning, and Earth wasn't playing by anyone else's rules. Earth's secret weapon. In the quiet moments following the Empire's retreat, Earth was anything but silent. Deep beneath the surface, in bunkers that had never seen sunlight, humanity's greatest minds gathered. These were the architects of Earth's secret strength, scientists, engineers, and strategists who had spent their lives preparing for the day when the stars would bring war. At the heart of it all was the Singularity Defense Grid, a project so classified that even most world leaders knew little about it. This was not just a weapon. It was a system of interconnected AIs, quantum computing networks, and advanced technologies that made Earth a fortress, invisible to outsiders. Dr. Elena Park, the lead developer of the grid, stood in the command center, her hands clasped behind her back as she addressed a room full of the brightest minds on the planet. Her voice was calm but carried the weight of authority. "The Empire will come back," she began, her gaze sweeping the room. "Their arrogance won't allow them to retreat without retaliation. They think we're just lucky. Let's make sure they learn how wrong they are." General Marcus Steele leaned against the wall, a wry smile on his face. "Let's hope they don't figure out we've been watching them for years." The room grew quiet. It was a truth that few knew. Decades ago, Earth's astronomers had detected faint signals from distant worlds, remnants of the Galactic Empire's conquests. Those signals had revealed the Empire's methods, their strengths, and more importantly, their weaknesses. Humanity had spent years studying the patterns, deciphering the tactics of an empire that didn't even know Earth existed. By the time the Empire finally noticed Earth, humanity was ready. Far above, on the eternal dominance, Grand Admiral Crix was anything but ready. The humiliation of the failed missions hung over the command deck like a storm cloud. Reports from the survivors of the Second Fleet were baffling. Ships had been struck by unseen forces, their systems shut down as if by magic. Crix's second-in-command, Commander Talek, approached cautiously. "Admiral, the crew is uneasy." They'd never seen anything like this before. Crix turned, his yellow eyes blazing. "Because they've never faced a real challenge before. We've become complacent, Talek. Soft. Earth is nothing but an annoyance, and I will crush them under my boot." Talek hesitated, then spoke carefully. "Perhaps we should gather more intelligence before our next move. Their tactics are unconventional, and it's clear they're hiding something." The Admiral gritted his teeth, but nodded. "Deploy the Echo Scouts. Let's see if these primitives can outsmart machines." The Echo Scouts were some of the Empire's most advanced creations, drones the size of insects, designed for stealth and surveillance. They could penetrate any defense, gather data, and return without detection. Crix was confident these. On Earth, the Singularity Defense Grid detected the Echo Scouts the moment they entered the atmosphere. The system analyzed their patterns, predicted their trajectories, and prepared a response before the drones even realized they had been spotted. At a hidden base in Antarctica, a young engineer named Rahul Kapoor watched the data stream across his screen. "Looks like they sent their toys to play," he muttered, a grin spreading across his face. "What's the plan?" asked a soldier standing nearby. Rahul tapped a few keys, activating a countermeasure developed specifically for situations like this. "We let them think they're winning." The drones zipped through Earth's skies, capturing images of cities, scanning technology, and mapping key locations. To the Empire, it would look like they were finally gaining the upper hand. But the drones didn't know they were being guided, led into a trap. When the Echo Scouts returned to the Eternal Dominance, they uploaded their data into the ship's central computer. Grand Admiral Crix and his officers gathered around the main display, eager to analyze the findings. The screen flickered, and for a moment, it showed Earth's vast cities and landscapes. But then, without warning, the display went black. A single line of text appeared, written in the Empire's own language. "We see you." Crix's jaw tightened as the ship's alarms blared. "What is this? A virus?" Before anyone could respond, the ship's systems began to malfunction. Lights flickered, engines stalled, and weapons systems went offline. The Echo Scouts had unknowingly brought a Trojan horse back to their fleet, a program designed to disable their most advanced technology. The Empire's flagship, a symbol of their power, was now adrift in space. Back on Earth, General Steele and Dr. Park watched the scene unfold through the defense grid's monitors. A live feed showed the Eternal Dominance struggling to regain control. "Phase 1 complete," Dr. Park said with a satisfied nod. "Their fleet is crippled." Steele chuckled. "I almost feel sorry for them. Almost." As the Empire's crew scrambled to restore their systems, Crix's fury reached its peak. He slammed his fists onto the console, his voice booming across the deck. "Enough. Prepare the remaining fleet for a full-scale assault. We'll burn this planet to ash." Commander Talek hesitated, then spoke softly. "Admiral, what if they're not the prey we thought they were? What if we are?" Crix glared at him, but said nothing. Deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling that Talek might be right. In the shadows of Earth's defenses, humanity prepared for the next wave. They had won the opening moves, but they knew the game was far from over. The Empire would come with everything they had, and Earth would be ready. This was not a fight for survival anymore. It was a demonstration. Humanity would show the galaxy what happened when an empire underestimated its prey. First clash. The silence in Earth's orbit was deceptive. To the untrained eye, the eternal dominance and its fleet appeared to be floating calmly, preparing for the next phase of their invasion. But inside the Imperial flagship, chaos reigned. Technicians scrambled to restore power, officers barked orders, and Grand Admiral Krixt stood at the center, his face a mask of cold fury. "They're playing games with us," Krixt muttered, his voice low but menacing. "Enough of this shadowboxing. We'll show them what true power looks like." "Admiral," Commander Talek ventured cautiously, "the fleet is still recovering from the system's failure. Shouldn't we wait until—" Krixt silenced him with a glare. "No more waiting. Launch the first wave, target their major cities and overwhelm their defenses. We'll drown their confidence in fire." Talek nodded, but unease lingered in his eyes. He had seen strong enemies before, but something about Earth felt different. Still, he obeyed, relaying the order. On Earth, the Singularity defense grid detected the incoming assault before the fleet's engines had fully ignited. In the subterranean control center, Dr. Elena Park and General Marcus Steele watched the data unfold on massive monitors. The Empire was sending a wave of smaller ships, fast, heavily armed, and built for destruction. "They're coming in hard," Steele said, a grim smile tugging at his lips. "Classic brute force tactics." "Let's see how they handle finesse," Dr. Park replied, tapping a sequence of commands into her console. Above Earth, the sky seemed to shimmer as the defense grid activated its atmospheric disruption field. The field wasn't a wall of energy or a physical barrier. It was subtler, more insidious. The Empire's ships found themselves buffeted by sudden turbulence, their targeting system. From the ground, hidden railgun platforms and automated drones launched their counterattack. The railguns fired projectiles at hypersonic speeds, invisible to the naked eye, while the drones darted through the chaos, striking with surgical precision. The first wave of the Empire's assault crumbled within minutes. Aboard the Eternal Dominance, Krixt watched in disbelief as the feed from the assault fleet went dark. "What's happening out there?" he demanded. "Admiral," a technician stammered, "their defenses are adaptive. It's as if they're anticipating our moves before we make them." Krix's fists clenched. Impossible. No primitive species could outthink the Galactic Empire. "Deploy the second wave immediately." The second wave consisted of heavier ships, cruisers equipped with advanced shields and firepower. They were designed to withstand planetary defenses, to strike fear into the hearts of civilizations that dared resist. But as they entered the Earth's atmosphere, the Empire faced a new nightmare. On the ground, a young programmer named Aisha monitored the defense grid's swarm override system. Her fingers danced across the keyboard as she directed hundreds of stealth drones into position. These weren't just attack drones, they were hijackers, designed to infiltrate enemy systems and turn their own weapons against them. As the Empire's cruisers descended, their weapons began firing, not at Earth, but at each other. The ships, confused and disoriented, became their own worst enemies. One by one, they fell from the sky, exploding in brilliant fireballs that lit up the night. In the control center, General Steele watched the destruction unfold with a mix of awe and satisfaction. "Beautiful work," he said to Aisha. "Remind me to give you a raise, if we survive this." Above, the Eternal Dominance remained untouched. Grand Admiral Krixt paced furiously, his mind racing. "They turned our own ships against us," he said, more to himself than anyone else. "How?" Commander Talek hesitated before speaking. "Admiral, their defenses are unlike anything we've encountered. Perhaps we should consider it diplomatic." "Silence," Krixt roared. "I will not negotiate with primitives." But deep down, even Krixt couldn't ignore the growing dread. Every move the Empire made seemed to play into Earth's hands. It was as if the humans weren't just defending. They were learning, adapting, outmaneuvering the Empire at every turn. Back on Earth, In a hidden bunker beneath the Pacific Ocean, a council of scientists and military leaders convened. Among them was Colonel Sarah Connor, an expert in unconventional warfare. "This isn't just about defending Earth," Colonel Connor said, her voice firm. "We need to send a message. The Galactic Empire must understand that humanity isn't prey." Dr. Park nodded. "Agreed. They came here thinking we were weak. Let's make sure they leave knowing we're anything but." General Steele leaned forward, his eyes gleaming. "What's the next move?" Dr. Park smiled. "We've been holding back. Let's show them a glimpse of what we're truly capable of." The next move came swiftly. As the Empire prepared to launch a third wave, a massive energy surge erupted from Earth's surface. It wasn't an attack, it was a display. A column of light shot into the sky, disrupting communications and temporarily blinding the Empire's sensors. When the interference cleared, the Eternal Dominance received a message, broadcast on every frequency. The voice was calm, yet it carried an edge of steel. "Galactic Empire," it said, "this is your final warning. Leave now or face the full power of Earth." The message was followed by a demonstration of Earth's capabilities. From hidden bases across the planet, advanced aircraft rose into the atmosphere. These were not the planes or satellites the Empire had scanned before. They were sleek, silent, and faster than anything in the Empire's arsenal. They flew in precise formations, weaving between the Empire's remaining ships and disabling them with ease. For the first time in his career, Grand Admiral Crix felt fear. He gripped the edge of his console, staring at the holographic display of Earth. The planet that had seemed so primitive, so weak, was proving to be a nightmare. "Admiral," Talek said quietly, "what are your orders?" Crix hesitated. His pride screamed at him to press forward, to crush this insolent planet. But his instincts, honed over decades of conquest, told him something else. "Pull back the fleet," he said finally, his voice heavy. "This isn't over. We'll return with reinforcements." As the Empire's fleet retreated, Earth's skies cleared once more. On the ground, humanity celebrated, but the leaders in the hidden bunkers knew better. This was only the beginning. The Galactic Empire would return, and next time, they wouldn't underestimate Earth, but humanity's hidden strength. As the Galactic Empire licked its wounds and regrouped in the depths of space, Earth didn't waste a moment. In the wake of the Empire's retreat, the hidden gears of humanity's ultimate strategy began to turn. Victory in the first skirmishes was only a prelude to a much larger plan, one that had been in motion long before the Empire's fleet appeared in orbit. Deep beneath the surface, in a fortress carved into the Himalayas, the Global Defense Coalition held a meeting. This was no ordinary war council. It included world leaders, military generals, top scientists, and even civilian strategists who had been sworn to secrecy. A holographic projection of Earth floated in the center of the chamber, surrounded by glowing points of light that represented the world's hidden assets. Dr. Elena Park stood at the head of the room, her expression grim but resolute. The Galactic Empire isn't retreating because they're afraid. They're retreating because they're strategizing. They'll be back, and next time, they'll bring everything they have. General Steele, leaning back in his chair, smirked. "Good. That'll make it easier to finish the job." The room chuckled lightly, but the tension was palpable. The stakes were higher than ever. Earth had shown its teeth, but the Empire had yet to see the full force of humanity's innovation. In the depths of the Atlantic Ocean, Project Leviathan was activated. This was one of Earth's most classified initiatives. A fleet of unmanned, A-driven submarines armed with technology that rivaled the Empire's own. These vessels were designed not only to defend Earth's waters, but to strike far beyond the planet if necessary. Captain Naomi Rice, the human overseer of Project Leviathan, stood in the control room of an underwater base. She watched as holographic displays showed the submarines moving into position, their sleek designs cutting through the ocean like predators in the deep. "Once the Empire comes back, we won't just be waiting," Rise said to her crew. "We'll take the fight to them." The crew nodded in silent agreement. Humanity had spent too long hiding in the shadows of its own fears. Now, it was time to rewrite the rules of war. Meanwhile, in a remote facility in the Australian outback, another part of Earth's defense plan was coming to life. A series of massive structures, disguised as natural rock formations, hummed with energy. This was Helios Station, a solar-powered array capable of generating focused energy beams strong enough to obliterate entire starships. The system's chief engineer, Dr. Arun Patel, stood atop a ridge, watching the final tests. "They think they understand us," he said to a colleague. "But they don't understand what desperation can create. Helios will ensure they never forget." A beam of light shot into the sky, splitting the clouds as it pierced the atmosphere. It was a signal, to the Empire and to the galaxy beyond, that humanity was not to be underestimated. Far from Earth, in the depths of space, the Galactic Empire's War Council convened aboard the Imperial Bastion, a massive space station brimming with weapons and advanced technologies. Grand Admiral Crix stood at the head of the table, flanked by the Empire's most powerful commanders and advisors. "This planet defies logic," Crix began, his voice cold and commanding. "Their technological progress doesn't match their apparent level of civilization. Either they've been hiding their true capabilities for centuries, or someone has been helping them." A murmur spread through the council. The idea that Earth had allies, perhaps other civilizations the Empire had overlooked, was troubling. But Crix dismissed the notion with a wave of his hand. "Regardless," he continued, "their success was a fluke. We will return with overwhelming force and crush them." One of the advisors, a tall alien with blue, crystalline skin, spoke hesitantly. "Admiral, if I may, their tactics suggest they are not merely defending. They are testing us. What if they're preparing to strike first?" Crix's yellow eyes narrowed. "Then we will be ready. Deploy the Omega fleet and activate the Maelstrom Protocol. Earth will not surprise us again." The council nodded, but unease lingered. For the first time in centuries, the Empire felt truly challenged. On Earth, humanity was indeed preparing to strike first. In the Arctic Circle, a team of pilots stood ready beside sleek spacecraft that had never been revealed to the public. These were the Starlent's Interceptors, Earth's first fleet of interstellar-capable fighters. Designed to be faster and more maneuverable than anything the Empire had, they were built for one purpose: to... Commander Rachel Tanaka, leader of the Starlent Squadron, addressed her team. "The Empire thinks they're invincible. They've never faced an enemy like us. We're going to show them that humanity doesn't wait to be conquered. We strike back." The pilots cheered, their spirits high. Each of them had been chosen for their skill and determination, and none of them doubted the mission ahead. For them, this wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a fight for Earth's place in the galaxy. As the days passed, Earth's preparations intensified. Factories hidden beneath mountains worked around the clock to produce weapons, drones, and spacecraft. Satellites in orbit adjusted their positions, forming a defensive network that could detect any movement in space. Civilians, unaware of the full scale of the threat, went about their lives, trusting their leaders to keep them safe. But in the hidden corners of the planet, humanity's greatest minds knew the truth. This was a war unlike any other. It wasn't just about survival. It was about proving that humanity could stand against the giants of the galaxy and emerge victorious. The stage was set. The Galactic Empire's forces were gathering, their ships darkening the stars as they prepared for their final assault. And on Earth, humanity waited, its secret weapons ready to be unleashed. For the first time in its history, the Empire would learn what it meant to face an enemy that refused to be broken. Humanity's hidden strength was no longer a secret. It was a promise. And when the clash came, the galaxy would never forget the day Earth fought back. The Empire's desperation. The stars glittered with the cold light of impending war. The Omega Fleet, the pride of the Galactic Empire, advanced toward Earth. Thousands of ships, each larger and deadlier than the last, filled the void, their hulls bristling with weapons designed to bring entire civilizations to their knees. At the helm of the fleet was Grand Admiral Crix, his resolve steeled and his ego bruised. This time, there would be no mistakes, no retreats, no warnings. On board the Imperial Bastion, Crix stood before his commanders, the fleet's formation displayed on a massive holographic map. Each ship glowed with its position, forming a web of destruction around Earth. "We will overwhelm them with numbers," Crix said, his voice sharp and unyielding. "Their tricks, their clever defenses, they won't save them from annihilation." Commander Talek, who had grown quieter and more contemplative since their first encounter with Earth, raised a hand hesitantly. "Admiral, if I may, we've underestimated them before. Their ability to adapt is beyond anything we've seen, if we proceed without understanding their full capabilities." "Enough," Crix interrupted, his glare silencing the room. "Their confidence is their downfall. We will burn their planet to ash before they can act." On Earth, humanity watched the skies. The defense grid tracked the Omega Fleet's every movement. In bunkers, control centers, and hidden bases, the world's leaders and strategists gathered. The atmosphere was tense, but there was no fear, only determination. General Steele stood in the central command room of the defense grid, a cigar clenched between his teeth. "They're bringing everything they've got," he said, pointing to the monitors. "Good. Let's make it count." Dr. Elena Park nodded, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "The defense grid is fully operational. Helios Station is charged and ready. Leviathan units are in position." "And the Starlink Squadron?" Steele asked. "On standby," Park replied. "They're waiting for the signal." The first clash was brutal. The Empire's fleet unleashed a storm of energy beams, plasma cannons, and missiles, aiming to overwhelm Earth's defenses in one devastating strike. The skies lit up as the bombardment began, but the defense grid held firm. Invisible shields rippled to life, absorbing the brunt of the assault. Hidden railguns fired from the ground, their hypersonic projectiles slicing through the Empire's outer ships like a knife through paper. Swarms of drones emerged from secret silos, weaving through the enemy's ranks and dismantling ships piece by piece. Helios Station, Earth's solar-powered energy array, fired its first shot. A beam of pure light, brighter than the sun, tore through space and obliterated an entire section of the Omega Fleet. The shockwave rippled outward, scattering debris and forcing the Empire's ships to recalibrate their formations. On board the Imperial Bastion, panic spread as reports flooded in. "Admiral, they've destroyed Sector Gamma," an officer shouted. Crix slammed his fist on the console. "Impossible. They're targeting us with precision," Commander Talek said, his voice measured despite the chaos. "It's as if they're predicting our movements." Crix's eyes narrowed. "Then we'll change the game. Activate the Maelstrom Protocol." The Maelstrom Protocol was the Empire's most devastating weapon, a device capable of generating a massive energy field to destabilize entire planetary systems. As the device powered up, the Empire's ships pulled back, creating a perimeter around Earth. In the depths of the defense grid's control center, alarms blared as the Maelstrom Protocol was detected. Dr. Park's eyes widened as she studied the data. "They're charging a system-wide destabilizer. If they fire it, it'll disrupt our atmosphere, our oceans, everything." General Steele cursed under his breath. "Can we stop it?" Park's mind raced. "We'll have to go offensive. Full force." She turned to a nearby console and issued the order. "Starlink Squadron, deploy." High above Earth, the Starlink's interceptors launched from hidden orbital platforms. Sleek and deadly, they streaked through the void like arrows, their advanced propulsion systems leaving trails of light. Commander Rachel Tanaka led the charge, her voice steady over the comms. "All right, team. They think they're untouchable. Let's show them what we've got." The squadron weaved through the Empire's defensive lines, evading enemy fire with precision. Each fighter was equipped with cutting-edge weapons designed to penetrate the Empire's strongest shields. They aimed for critical targets: command ships, communication hubs, and the Maelstrom device itself. As the battle raged, Earth unveiled its final surprise: Project Horizon. Hidden in plain sight, Horizon was an array of satellites capable of manipulating the planet's magnetic field. With a coordinated effort, the system sent a massive electromagnetic pulse toward the Empire's fleet. The effect was immediate. Ships sputtered and died, their systems fried. The Maelstrom device flickered, its energy field collapsing before it could fully charge. The Empire's fleet was thrown into disarray. On the Imperial Bastion, Crix watched in horror as his fleet crumbled. "No," he whispered, his voice trembling. "This isn't possible." Commander Talek turned to him, his expression unreadable. "Admiral, we've lost. If we stay, we'll be destroyed." Crix's pride battled with reality, but he knew the truth. "Order a retreat," he said through gritted teeth. "This isn't over." As the Empire's fleet limped away, Earth's forces held their positions. General Steele watched the retreat on the monitors, a triumphant grin on his face. "And stay out." Dr. Park, though relieved, remained cautious. "They'll be back, stronger, angrier." Steele nodded. "Let them come. We'll be ready." In the quiet aftermath, humanity celebrated its victory, but preparations continued. The battle had revealed the Empire's limits and Earth's potential. The Galactic Empire had come expecting to crush a weak, divided planet. Instead, they had encountered a united force capable of turning the tide of war. The next encounter wouldn't just be a defense, it would be a reckoning. Humanity was no longer just surviving. It was preparing to lead. The final warning. The Galactic Empire's fleet, battered and humiliated, limped away from Earth's orbit. The remnants of its once proud Omega fleet scattered into the cold void of space. On board the Imperial Bastion, Grand Admiral Crix sat in his private chamber, his head bowed. The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint hum of the station's engines. Crix, the conqueror of countless worlds, the architect of galactic domination, was defeated by a single insignificant planet, a planet that had not just survived but countered with an audacity that left him reeling. Back on Earth, humanity savored a bittersweet victory. Cities were untouched, and lives had been spared, but the cost of preparation had been steep. In hidden bunkers and sprawling control centers, the celebration was muted. Leaders and strategists knew the war was not over. It had only begun. Dr. Elena Park stood before a vast display in the Defense Grid's main command room. The holographic image of Earth rotated slowly, surrounded by lines of data representing the Empire's retreat. She addressed the gathered team, her voice steady but firm. "We've won the battle, but the war is far from over. The Galactic Empire now knows what we're capable of. When they return, they'll bring their entire armada." General Marcus Steele leaned against the wall, his arms crossed. "Let them come. If they thought this was bad, they haven't seen what else we've got." Dr. Park shook her head. "It's not about waiting for them to come back, General. In the Arctic, Project Horizon was reactivated. The satellite array, which had crippled the Empire's fleet with its electromagnetic pulse, now prepared for something far more ambitious. The scientists and engineers stationed there worked tirelessly, fine-tuning a new system that would extend Earth's reach far beyond its orbit. Colonel Sarah Connor, overseeing the project, addressed her team. "This isn't just about protecting Earth anymore. If the Empire comes back, we'll be taking the fight to their doorstep. It's time the galaxy knows what humanity stands for." Her words were echoed in secret facilities around the globe. Earth's leaders had come to a consensus. They could not rely on defense alone. Humanity needed to show the galaxy that it was a force to be reckoned with. Meanwhile, aboard the retreating Imperial bastion, dissent began to brew. Commander Talek, once a loyal second-in-command, confronted Admiral Crix in the War Council chamber. "Admiral," Talek began, his tone measured but firm, "we underestimated Earth, and we've paid the price. But this isn't just about strategy anymore. They've shown us something we've never seen before, an ability to adapt faster than we can calculate." Crix glared at him, his pride still stinging. "Are you suggesting we surrender to these primitives?" "I'm suggesting we rethink everything we know about them," Talek replied. "If we continue underestimating them, the next time we face them, we won't survive." Crix's jaw tightened. He dismissed Talek with a wave, but the seeds of doubt had already been planted. On Earth, the Starland Squadron prepared for their next mission. Commander Rachel Tanaka addressed her pilots as they stood before their sleek, interstellar-capable ships. "Our orders are clear," she said. "We're taking the fight to them. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about ensuring they never come back. The galaxy needs to know that Earth isn't prey. We're the hunters now." The pilots saluted, their resolve unshaken. For them, this was more than a mission. It was a statement. The final act of Earth's defiance came in the form of a broadcast. Using technology integrated into the defense grid, humanity sent a message across the galaxy. The transmission was short, but its impact would ripple through the stars. A holographic image of General Steele appeared, his expression hard as stone. Behind him, Earth's flag fluttered in an artificial breeze. "To the Galactic Empire," he began, his voice steady and commanding. "You came to our planet expecting submission. You found resistance. You brought your fleet to destroy us. We sent it back in pieces. Let this be your final warning. Earth is not yours to conquer. If you return, we will not stop at defense. We will come for you, and we will win." The message ended, leaving a chilling silence in its wake. Far across the galaxy, in the Empire's core worlds, the message was received. Civilizations under the Empire's rule whispered of Earth, a planet that had done the unthinkable. For the first time, the Empire's aura of invincibility began to crack. On Earth, humanity prepared for the next chapter. Factories hummed with activity, building fleets of ships that could venture beyond the stars. Scientists pushed the boundaries of technology, crafting weapons and defenses that would ensure their survival. But it wasn't just about survival anymore. Humanity had seen the vastness of the galaxy, and they knew they had a place in it. They would not be subjugated. They would not be prey. They would lead. As the Galactic Empire's fleet faded into the distance, a new force was rising on Earth. A force built on unity, ingenuity, and resilience. A force that would ensure the galaxy never forgot the name of the planet that defied an empire. Earth. And this time,